Selena.
And my name's Theoni, and you are listening to Piping Hot.
Welcome back to part 2 of It Happened One Summer. We
Whoop, whoop.
are so excited to dive right in because there's a lot to talk about in the second half.
Boy, is there a lot to talk about in the
Yes.
second half.
Yeah.
So buckle in, y'all. As you know, usually with our book things, we don't have any new pop culture because we're recording this in the same day. So we're just going to dive right in. We left off the last episode of chapter 16. So I am going to jump right back in with chapter 17, post first date spice, whatever happened. Okay. Chapter 17 begins with Piper describing her routine she's fallen into in the town when Hannah and her hear loud noises that scare them. Come to find out, a typhoon is closing in. Hannah leaves to help at the record store, and Piper is left to finish at the bar. Without thinking she'd ever use it, Piper runs and enters Brendan's home to wait for him, which feels too good, too natural for Piper. She settles into her home, worried sick for Brendan, but still convinces herself she shouldn't since she'll be leaving for LA. Next, we see Brendan trying to take control of his boat and worrying about helping his team through the storm. However, he can't help it. Let his mind wander to Piper back on the shore. Okay. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was talking, but I didn't realize I was talking. So that was really weird. Okay. Welcome everybody to Piping Hot.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You were talking and you weren't realizing it.
No, I did. Could you see it on my face?
Yes, a little
Because
bit.
I literally was like, and Brendan got scared on the boat. And what the heck, dude? Okay. So I love the beginning of this chapter and how it describes Piper and her routine, because I feel like that's a very distinct way of how Brendan has rubbed off on Piper. I just they're starting to get little things from each other, or and I love that because I feel like the way they challenge each other or the things they bring to each other are very positive changes, right? So they're not trying to change for each other, but it just does it in a positive way.
Yeah.
And of course, Piper's inner dialogue as she starts getting more worried about Brendan because of that typhoon, she's trying to convince herself that she shouldn't worry, that it's short term, whatever. And at that point, I'm like, girly, you are so head over heels for him. You're running to his house. This ain't short term, and you know it. You just don't want to admit it. And the fact that she's Googling about the typhoon was so sweet.
It's so funny.
I know.
She's Piper not knowing what a typhoon is. So cute.
Literally. And then it says, once she's in his home and whatever, she says her throat ached as she carried the mug of coffee up the stairs, trying not to acknowledge how natural it felt to set her coffee on the sink in his bathroom. I love, I was kind of talking about this last episode, how I just love when characters just fit. And how it just it just works. Still think it's weird as heck that she's just in his home and they have been on one date and she already has a key. That part my mind can't get around. Yeah. But still cute though.
Still very cute. Yeah. I was vibing with it.
Me too. Okay. So then we kind of get a POV from Brendan a little bit. Just kind of what it's like for him on the boat, which of course I think just brings more context to his character. But in the midst of all the chaos, he's like, will Piper be waiting for me? And I'm like, bruh, what would make you think that she's not going to be waiting for you? You know what I mean? But I do love that we got to see Brendan in action, since obviously his job is everything to him. So I think that it's nice that we got that glimpse of his character. But yeah.
I was a little nervous switching back to Brendan because I was like, if it's so bad where Piper is, I can't imagine what Brendan is dealing with. So I was really nervous starting his section within the chapter.
No, 100%. I agree. Yeah. And then it ended on a very ominous note too. He's like, as soon as you think you're gonna, or I forget how it ended, but of course you're like, well, crap, something bad happened.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I thought something bad happened to him. Immediately, that was where my mind went. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have to find out, and I have to read to the next chapter.
Totally. And I think that's what Tessa Bailey wanted us to think,
Yeah.
That's all I had for that chapter, but the next chapter, chapter 18, is a little nuts.
It's a doozy.
Yeah.
Like, you thought 16 was crazy. 18 is like...
Oh my God. This chapter is like too much. So here is my very long synopsis. I'm so sorry. In chapter 18, Piper wakes up in Brendan's bed to the news that the men from the boat are at the hospital. Before she can think, Piper throws on some clothes and drives straight to the hospital in Brendan's truck. As Piper enters the hospital in a frenzy looking for Brendan, she hears a voice that immediately makes her feel grateful. Through her tears, she reunites with Brendan and discovers that he's okay. Brendan immediately just wants to hold Piper and can't ignore how she looks in his shirt and imagining what it was like for her to be in his home. Before they can talk, Brendan and Piper embrace and share a beautiful kiss. However, the kiss quickly turns too spicy for the setting they're in, so they must be resourceful to find a place to have sex for the first time. Before they leave the room they're in, Piper attempts to avoid labeling what they have, but Brendan doesn't let it get that far or leave room for discussion. He leaves them as more than friends and makes it clear he wants her and he's going to have her. Before Piper leaves the hospital, they run into Mick, my enemy, who makes everything a bit more uncomfortable.
I texted you this, but their reunion in the hospital fucking like knocked the air out of me. Because again, I thought that Brendan had gotten hurt, and just like reading about her relief and just how happy she was, I was like, oh my God, like I can breathe finally knowing that he's okay. You know,
right? Because we, like you said, we thought it was Brendan.
Yeah.
So then the way it described his voice before we knew it was him, I was like, oh, I know. Oh my God. And then I love the whole idea of the recharging station, and like she tries to hide how much she loves it, but like he just loves being that for her. Like that's all he wants to be for her, and she just like craves that. So again, perfect fit.
I think it's hilarious that Piper calls it the recharging station, but I feel like it's such a Piper thing though too. So it's like, oh my gosh.
It's a little cheesy, but it fits.
Yeah.
Okay, again. If he hadn't said baby, I would have been fine with this line. But he said, "Can you be mad at me while I kiss you, baby? It's all I've wanted to do for the last 2 weeks." Like that gives me flashbacks to that one guy from our Hinge episode that said, "Let me compliment you, mama, as I need it." Like that's what that reminded me of.
Ew.
I know.
Hate it.
Okay, and then she's like, "You want to kiss me when my eyes are red and puffy?" And he's like, "I especially want to kiss you with your eyes all red and puffy." Like, he loves her how she is.
I know, he's such a sweetheart. Like all he wants is like just her. Like
I know, it's so sweet. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the first kiss already was so steamy. This is still them in the hallway. Like they kiss, they start making out so fast. Like they are just like cannot come up for air. And then Brendan says, "I can't F you here, baby, but that's exactly what I'm going to do if we keep at it like this." Like, oh my God. So of course they have to go find somewhere else. And then, and then they get in the room and she's like, okay, so then as soon as they're in the room, he's just like, "Oh my God, I gotta lock the door. I have to shut the shades. Like, I'm doing this right now. I'm not waiting anymore." She's like, "I'm not waiting anymore." They're like, "This is happening. Like, we're not holding back anymore." And then Brendan's like, "If this woman tacked please onto any request, he would find a way to fulfill it." Like again, he's just like no like he would literally do anything for her. Like
I know.
Straight up.
I know. I will say, as I was like reading this chapter, I was like, no, they're not gonna do it in a hospital. No. And then they kept going, and I was like, oh no. I know. I was like, I think the progression of it was like really bad. I was like, no, come on. Are you kidding me?
Right? And then especially when we had this moment at their house, which for whatever reason they didn't do it then.
Yes.
So then they do it in a hospital? Like, y'all.
Like the worst place ever, you guys.
I know.
Come on. Oh my gosh.
So then, of course, they don't have a condom. And she's like, "I got to check up and I have the shot." And he's like, "Oh my God, you're going to let me have you bear, baby?" And I'm just like, woo! Like, I physically wanted to vomit.
Projectile vomit.
Literally. Also, for those of you listening, stay safe out there, kids. Don't do this.
Yeah,
don't do this.
Doesn't matter if you have a shot or you got tested. Please
don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay, I would rather have Piper call Brendan Captain than Brendan call Piper baby.
Yes, Captain is definitely the lesser of two evils.
Yes, yeah, really, but still both evil.
Yes. And then, of course, once they're like done, he says, I know where we stand. I know you're going to make me work for you, and I'm not scared of it. And Piper's like, what is there to work for? And then this is kind of when they have like the whole conversation, and he's like, more than friends. And she's like, that's too broad. And then he like fights her on it, and he's like, okay, more than friends. Which, okay, in a book, I find this really cute because he's just like not willing to admit or let her like diminish what this is for them, right?
Yeah.
But in real life, I think this would not carry over well. But in the book, I love it.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, you're going to gaslight me into what this relationship is?
Yes, literally.
No, thank you.
Literally. That's exactly what it is.
Really? Yeah.
Okay, now, let's get to my boy Mick. This mother trucker has the audacity to make her feel uncomfortable and be an absolute B to her.
Yeah.
And like, say, like, he sees him in the hallway and completely ignores her. And she had been feeling fine about the whole Desiree situation, like, because Brendan made her feel okay with it. And then Mick completely ignoring her existence made me so mad. And then, of course, Mick notices he's not wearing his ring anymore and makes a face. Screw you. This is when I was like, I hate you, Mick. I hate you.
He just like, as the novel went on, he just got more and more fishy for me. And I was like, Mick, you have some really bad vibes that I just do not like. I'm like, literally. I need you to leave.
Straight up. That's all I had for that chapter. I feel like a lot happens, but very good chapter.
Oh my gosh. Okay, like a part of me wants to like their first sex scene, but I can't get over one. It's in a hospital.
I know.
And two, the dirty talk was a lot. It was a lot.
It was a lot. Anyways. Next chapter.
Chapter 19.
Yes.
Okay. So, Piper returns to her apartment after going to the hospital and tells her sister Hannah all that had happened. After she herself takes a moment to comprehend all that had happened, Piper realizes that she doesn't want to stay in Westport, but that another path, aka staying in Westport with Brendan, may have been in the works unbeknownst to her all along. She's a party girl in LA, and in Westport, she doesn't know who she is. Then Piper goes to Opal's house to get ready for a night on the town. Brendan texts her that he wants to see her tonight, and Piper plays it tough by saying she's going out and he could maybe catch her at Blow the Man Down. Once they get to the bar, they make friends easily, and soon Piper is drunk off her ass.
This scene is so weird.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of comments for this one.
Fair.
Again, I love Piper's inner turmoil. Like, it feels very real, the way that she's thinking about it. Because, like, yeah, she can't have the best of both worlds. She can't go back to LA and have Brendan. And she can't have Brendan and go back to LA. So I love that she's actually, like, taking time to really, really contemplate what she wants.
Yeah, and I think she respects Brendan too and wouldn't want to waste his time, especially knowing the history with his wife and like how she's the first since Desiree. So
okay, I also love that she played hardball with Brendan. Like, it's so funny. It was so funny, but it was her way of trying to revert back to her old self in LA and be like that party girl who like you can't really catch and whatever. But I just loved it so much.
Me too. Also, especially like we were just talking about with the last chapter, he was so like, no, this is more than friends, like blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I feel like this was like, yo. Just, and I love the hard to get when he's already so there, you know. I just love it.
Exactly. I thought it was so funny that everyone kept giving her drinks to like pay her to teach her skills and stuff. I was like, that's like so adorable and cute, but like I feel like Piper like really loves it and she doesn't like want to turn them down because she's too nice. Like, I thought it was like very sweet, and you could definitely tell that like she was making friends there and people really did like her, you know?
100%. And I think to me that was important to add in because like obviously if she were to stay in Westport, it can't just be Brendan. Like she has to have a life. And so I think her finding a way to like put what she knows into this town was like important in her decision in deciding to stay.
All right, so that is the end of chapter 19. Moving on to chapter 20. Brendan is at the bar watching Piper get shit-faced, and it's this and it's the same moment that Brendan realizes that he loves her. After a little coaxing, Brendan brings Piper back to his house. They argue about how Piper isn't just one in the same. She's unique and memorable. The chapter ends with Piper admitting that they may be more than friends after all. Okay, I really, really love this chapter. I thought it was adorable. Yes. Like, so cute and just, like, I don't know, just the core of their love story. Like, I really, really loved it. What I also loved, too, was that we got Brendan's perspective of watching Piper get drunk, which I really, really like because, like, we could see his thought process. You know? When Brendan confessed that he loved her on top of page 241... Oh, it says
to her or in his inner dialogue?
No, in his inner dialogue. Damn it. Okay. And when her face transformed from pure joy and she waved enthusiastically, Brendan knew he loved her. Like, it was so almost nonchalant where I had to, like, read it again and, like, go back and then read it again and be like, did this just happen? Like, it felt really fast for me. I don't know, but with the way that Brendan was going about this relationship the entire time, it kind of made sense. But still, for me personally, it felt like really fast. I wonder if you like have any thoughts on that.
No, I mean, I think it went fast too. Yeah. But again, I think the pace at which he's been moving the whole book and like how once he flipped a switch, he was there and how he's like, no, we're not friends. We're more than that, blah, blah, blah. It felt fast, but it also wasn't surprising.
Yes, especially for Brendan. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I cackled when Piper said that like this morning was the best sex of her life on page 242. But then the music cuts out when she says that. The secondhand embarrassment I got was like to die for. I could not bear it.
I know. It was actually horrible.
It really was.
I wanted to die. Like it was so bad. Like can you imagine?
No, I can't, Theoni.
Oh my gosh. You sent me a voice memo about that, I think.
I did. Because I literally could not hold it in because the secondhand embarrassment was that bad. Oh, okay. This is so random. But I love that she referred to herself as a pot pie on page 243. Yeah. Like, in a way, Piper has a good point that, like, he took a bite of her now and, like, now he has to be noble and eat the whole thing. Like, I was like, wait, Piper may be drunk, but she's onto something. And, like, good for her. Good for her for trying to, like, protect herself and be like, okay, well, I know how Brendan is with, like, food. Like, I wonder if he's, like, that with people and with just, like, random stuff in life. So I was like, good for her for, like, trying to protect herself, basically.
Yes, it was such a drunk thought, but it made so much sense.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh. And then I also really love that Piper made sure that Opal had a ride home before leaving with Brendan. Yeah. Again, showing us like more reasons why we love her and why we should love her. Like, again, she may be like ditzy or an airhead or whatever, but like underneath all of that, she is very, very caring. And like, I really, really did love Piper at the end of this book.
Me too. 100%.
Yeah. So then as they're driving home, they get into this like conversation about how there are like millions of girls like Piper back in LA, which was like mentioned in the last chapter, like her inner turmoil when she was thinking. And then this basically leads them into getting in a fight. This fight was believable for me. So in a way it felt justified to have it. And it was like, it felt very natural. So I was like, okay, I get it because this argument gets to her emotional wound that she's not important, that she's just momentary in everyone's lives, which I really, really, really liked because I think in a way, Brendan like fills that like emotional hole for her. And I don't know, I just really liked it.
No, I liked it too, because like even though it was an argument, I'm like, this isn't really an argument, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And then he goes on to say on the top of page 245 that like, you are important to me, whole paragraph. Like, I was just like, dude, you just say you love her. Like, you just did. Like, you know?
I know, but also I love that he didn't push her too much when she's drunk, because like that's the worst.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The whole like talking point thing was hilarious in this chapter of like, I'll take that as a talking point tomorrow or whatever. I thought it was super funny and cute that I really, really liked.
Me too. Aww.
Yeah. And all the more reason to love Brendan is that he's such a gentleman that he like wouldn't take advantage of her, like not making out, anything like that. And I was like, oh my God, why do you have to be so nice? But yeah, he took care of her. And then I love that they had negotiated a goodnight kiss. Like just one goodnight kiss, you know?
Literally.
Like that's so cute.
It's so cute.
And the chapter ends with Brendan mouthing "I love you" over her head. And I like cried. I was like, this is too cute. Way too cute. Like he loves her.
Boy.
But yeah, that's the end. That's the end of chapter 20.
I love that chapter so much.
Yeah.
And I also feel like it leads into chapter 21, which I also really love.
Yes.
Chapter 21 begins with the morning after scene between Brendan and Piper that feels natural and calm. When Piper makes her way downstairs, she finds Brendan resisting sex with her until they are able to talk about last night and the things in their way. Initially, Piper is frustrated by this, but agrees since he offers a boat ride on the Delaware, which she is immediately excited about. Once on the boat, Brendan lets Piper drive in a very comfortable but spicy position. Once docked, Piper and Brendan dive into the issues facing their relationships. Piper quickly concludes that Brendan is a real man and one she's been waiting for. Then Brendan gives Piper a boat tour that leads to them taking pictures for his bed on the boats, an admission from Piper about what to label their relationship, and a very long sex scene. This chapter was a lot.
It was a lot. Now that you like told me the synopsis, I was like, oh yeah, that happened.
Oh, that happened. Oh, that happened. Like so much happened.
Yeah, really.
Okay. I just love the morning scene. I don't have like a ton of specifics, but I love how she's just like, this feels at home to wake up here. And like, she's just observing him, like reading the newspaper, reading the newspaper, and she's like, how dare he with those thighs? And like she's just and just describing his smell and like all of those things, and like not even describing his smell, how she like would picture him to smell, which comes into play when they go to Seattle. But I just love that. And I think this just shows Brendan's maturity and how seriously he takes a relationship when he's like, yes, we could do that, but I want more with you. So I want to talk before we do that. But that doesn't mean I don't want it. I'm not going to withhold it, but I would rather talk first. And of course, she's very excited about the boat. So she's like, cool, down with that.
Also, more power to Brendan, like being able to like lay that all out and just like make sure that like Piper is comfortable with it all, you know?
Very respectful.
We
love a respectful man.
I know we do.
Okay. I love how he let her steer the boat and just like on her lap. Like I just thought that was so cute. And then as they're sitting there, okay. And then she's like, don't look at me like that. And she's like, are you planning on torturing me all day? And they're just going back and forth. And I just love it so much. They're love the
bickering.
Push and pull.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So good.
Okay. So then basically after this, they get to their talking points, right? They get into the deeper conversation. I like how he gives the information about his wife to her, not only so she's aware of it and to calm her nerves, but also because he feels like he owes that to her and that it'll do a lot for him to be able to share the information. And then I also like, on the other hand, that Brendan gives Piper the space to like share about her insecurities and like very like encouraging of her. Like he's like that comparison is unfair. You're unfair to yourself. And like, that's the best thing he could have said. Like no one's told that to Piper before. And I think that just means a lot and shows like he knew what he needed to say, but he also meant it when he said it.
Yes, which is very important because everyone in Piper's life hasn't meant it. They don't say those things to Piper because, right, she's like an airhead, she's ditzy, but like with Brendan, she knows it's like real, which is like,
oh. I love it. Okay, and then Brendan says, quote, "Last night you said a couple things that bothered me, so we're going to work through those." Like, why can't real people communicate like that?
yeah. He's just direct. He knows what he wants and he's gonna get it.
maybe this is like part my therapist self or part just being like a woman, but I'm just like that ability to communicate and be emotionally vulnerable and want to have those conversations. I'm like, that is sexy. Let's talk about it.
It really is sexy. Like, he's so mature about it. Like, ugh.
And then she says, "I mean, we're boyfriend and girlfriend now. I guess you got what you wanted." I love that. Yeah. I love that so much. Okay, and then of course, like, that just brings him all the joy in the world. And he's like, okay, you know what? I've pushed her on enough today. We've had good conversations. I'm not going to push her about LA. Like, that's okay that we leave that conversation for later, which I really like. Okay, and then it's in quote, "Piper tilted her head back while staring at Brendan's rippling back, wondering if he realized how hard he was about to get laid." Like, that just made me laugh so hard. And then the whole picture situation happened, and she's like, "Do you want a picture?" Yes. He was like, yes, immediately. So without any hesitation, he wanted that freaking picture. And of course she's like, "Oh, you can have some private pictures." And then it turns into this whole thing. And then she leans over and he's like, "Nope, can't take anymore." Picks her up, throws her on the bed. So much dirty talk. And okay.
The amount of dirty talk in this one was crazy. Like, I thought the hospital scene was bad, but this one was really, really bad. Also, I just want to say the whole like nude picture thing. I'm a 50-50 on it. I wasn't sure if I should find it attractive or if it was like really weird. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, for me, I'm a no. But
it's a no for me.
Literally, it's a no from me, dog. If someone said that to me, I'd be like, for those reasons, I'm out. And then I'd swim back to shore. Bye. Like, I'm good.
And swim back to shore.
Literally, I'm done.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. And then I marked on this page that this is especially when the dirty talk got too much. Ready?
Okay. Can you even read it? Can you even read it, Theoni?
Okay. "That make you hot, baby? Hearing how being your man is going to get your boyfriend off? Say it again. My boyfriend F's me so right. I let him whatever he wants. Stop. He knows just how to earn."
I need you to stop. I am crying right now. I need you to stop immediately.
You see how uncomfortable that is?
I forgot how vulgar it was.
I know.
Oh my god, like I don't think I even read, like, I like skimmed that part because I was like, I can't do it. Like, that's way too much.
Okay, well, that's pretty much where it ends. So with that, next chapter.
Oh my gosh. Sometimes it's just way too much at that point.
Yep. Anyways, chapter 22.
Yes.
My stomach hurts. In chapter 22, Brendan says a spicy goodbye to Piper after their talk on the boat that changed and solidified what was between them. Then Brendan goes to Fox's to get advice about what to do about Piper. While Fox has trouble giving advice, he is able to point out what Brendan already knows is a solution. Piper staying in Westport. Brendan doesn't want to lose Piper, but he knows how big and difficult it would be for Piper to stay. Then Fox brings up a vinyl expo in Seattle. Piper calls asking for help with some decor, and before they know it, Piper, Brendan, Fox, and Hannah will be going to Seattle for an overnight trip. So one thing I will say that I respected about this chapter is Brendan really realized how much more difficult this is for Piper than it is for him.
Yes.
And I think that was very important, because I don't think if he realized that, he's asking so much of her, and he needs to understand that and give her time to like figure all of that out, you know?
Yeah, and I think it was the first time, too, that he realized just how big of a change Piper would have to make. Because I think he was all kind of still in the headspace of like, oh, I need to get her. Like, she needs to be my girlfriend, da-da-da-da. That he didn't even think about the logistics. And I feel like this was a real wake-up call for him.
100%. And then they had that spicy goodbye kiss in the car. What I couldn't deal with is when she tugged him toward her with his beard. Like... I hate that.
No, I can't do that. Stop it. Just grab his jawline. Literally. Oh, my God.
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about in real life. Like, if I were dating someone with a beard, I would never pull them by them.
But that's weird, okay?
It's so weird. I think Fox and Brendan interacting was so funny because, like, clearly they don't really do the whole deep talk, like, advice thing. So I think that whole scene was just really funny and awkward, but also good because Fox can't offer advice, but he's just, like, helping give Brendan what he needs to understand what he already knows, if that makes sense.
Yes. And I love that Brendan turned to Fox.
Yes.
Because I feel like that's a very not Brendan thing to do. And so I feel like with him seeking out Fox, like it was a big step for him too as like friends. And I really love that.
I know, me too. And then, okay, I remember reading this, but of course Fox knew about the vinyl expo, and Brendan was like, how'd you know about that? And he's like, oh, it just popped up. I'm like, that's when I knew. I was like, clearly there's maybe some vibes between Fox and Hannah, which of course I think kind of sets up hook, line, and sinker. This is just a quote I really liked. He could surprise her, make her happy, provide her with what she loved. Couldn't he? Yeah, he could. Actually, he was looking forward to it.
He's the sweetest. Like,
literally,
all he wants to do is just like make Piper comfortable and happy. And I'm like, oh my God, get you a man like that.
I know.
And you're set for life.
Literally, it's so cute.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I love Brendan like coming up, like he really pushes himself to be spontaneous in this moment. Like he suggests going to the vinyl expo and then doing the overnight in Seattle, and like I think this is really when Piper was like, holy crap, holy crap. Like, and I think that was really important for him to do, because again, he's pushing himself for Piper just like Piper is pushing for him. So like, again, it has to go both ways. So I love that he did that. And then I thought it was so funny when Brendan said it was Fox's idea, because Fox did not want them to know it was his idea.
No. I love that he threw him under the bus. Yeah. So funny.
Literally. But unless you have anything else for that chapter, we can move on.
I was just going to say that I think this moment was a really big moment for Brendan and his routines. Because, you know, like he was making small changes here and there. But I feel like this Seattle trip was huge for him, for his routines, his schedule, everything like that. So, I mean, I understand why Piper was like, holy shit, like what is happening? But all right, moving on to chapter 23. Piper and Hannah get ready to go to Seattle with Brendan and Fox. Piper also finally tells Hannah of their grand opening for the bar on Labor Day weekend, and Piper calls their stepfather Daniel to invite him to it. On the drive to Seattle, Hannah and Fox sit in the back seat together, and Hannah tells him of all her music knowledge. When they arrive at the hotel, Piper realizes that Brendan booked them at the nicest hotel there was. The chapter ends with Piper inquiring about Hannah and Fox and how nothing is happening, and that Fox is a ladies' man. I just want it to go on record that Daniel is a fucking dick.
I hate Daniel.
He, Mick, and Maureen are on my shit list.
All of them. Boom, boom, boom.
I hate them. I hate them all. Like,
literally.
You guys fucking suck. Literally suck. Like, I don't care if he's rich. I don't care if you're a director or important in Hollywood. I don't care. You were so fucking rude to Piper.
Literally.
Like, at that point, I didn't even want him to come. Like, you know what? Forget it. If you're going to be, like, sour like this and be like, I have to come to this opening, blah, blah, then just don't come, Daniel. Don't fucking come.
Literally, screw you, Daniel.
Yes. I was like, whatever. It's interesting in the last chapter that you were talking about how, like, Tessa Bailey was setting up the second book with Hannah and Fox. But for me in this chapter, the whole Hannah and Fox thing felt a little forced for me. I understand, right? It's the setup for the sequel. Definitely makes sense. But it was just a little too forced. Like, I was like, it's still Piper and Brendan's story. I feel like you could have planted those seeds later, but I don't know.
No, I agree. It was almost like a little too many hints. I was like, you can reel it back a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to chapter 24 then. Brendan and Piper go shopping while Fox and Hannah attend the Vintage Vinyl Expo. As they shop for jeans, Brendan is dumbfounded when Piper says most of the jeans don't look good, though in his opinion, they all look spectacular. Piper learns her lesson of appreciating money, and the chapter ends with Brendan buying all the jeans for Piper.
I love it.
Me too. I also love the idea that, like, Brendan is fucking loaded with money. Like,
he's so loaded.
He's so rich, and it's so funny when Piper realizes it. She's like, oh no, this is bad. I, like, just learned the value of money, and now I have a rich boyfriend, and now we need to break up. And Brendan spirals because of that, because he's like, break up? No, da-da-da. And I'm like, dude, it's just a joke. Calm
Literally,
down.
I was like, relax, dude.
Yeah, she was not being serious. But also, too, it's crazy how much Piper has changed within the book. And I love that Tessa Bailey did this. And I think that Tessa just did a fantabulous job at Piper's character development.
Yes.
That when Brendan told her, hey, I'm going to take you shopping, Piper couldn't think of a single thing that she wanted to buy. And that was a huge character shift for Piper. And I really, really loved that because, like, technically she has everything that she wants. Like, her sister is happy, they're in Seattle, she's with Brendan and just having a good time, and it's like, that's really sweet. Like, it's not bad to be materialistic, but for her not to be materialistic was huge.
I think so too.
And then it was funny because Brendan was like, no, we're still going shopping, and so they went shopping.
I love it.
I know. He just wanted to treat her. Okay. Okay, wait, I cackled when Brendan was like, what are you talking about? All these jeans look great. And, like, Piper's like, no, it's a no for this one. And he's like, what the heck? Okay, I said that I have to read the top of page 299.
Ooh.
So she pushed back the curtain and walked out in a pair of light blue painted on jeans and a black see-through bra. Ooh, not a fan. She turned and looked at her butt in the full-length mirror. Thoughts? Brendan dragged his jaw up off the fucking floor. I'm sorry. How are you not a fan? I'm sorry. I think that's hilarious. Hilarious. Because he just doesn't understand because he's like, oh my God, she looks good and everything.
He doesn't
So
understand.
funny.
He just really truly believes she's the most beautiful person alive.
I know.
Truly.
I love it. I laugh when on page 300, Piper said, like, the jeans were $100. And she's like, I think that's a lot. Like,
A girly.
like, Piper, honey.
It is.
I mean, again, it's just like a very Piper thing. So I thought it was just hilarious.
100%.
Okay, the last thing that I will say is that it was very weird, or at least I found it very weird, that Brendan stepped into the dressing room with Piper and put on her jeans. Like, I know it was supposed to be like a little sexy moment, like he was helping her with her jeans and yada yada, but like I was not feeling it.
It was not necessarily either,
No.
like, compared to everything else that's happened. Like, we didn't need this scene.
Yeah, no. Okay, and then I have a note that there's dirty talk at the bottom of page 302.
Oh, no.
Selena,
I can't handle
and I said, like, I can't. It was a bit too much for me, but I don't remember what he said. I'm sorry. I don't know if I can do this. Okay, wait. Okay. Okay, he says, going to spoil you with my credit card now. He kissed the top of her slit. Then have you sit on my face and spoil you fucking rotten with my tongue later.
That's so unnecessary.
Yeah, really.
Relax, bro. Like oh my God, ew.
Like, honey, time and place. Like, this is not it. This is not it, okay? Oh my gosh, like,
I hate it.
Yeah, really, but that is the end. That's all that I have.
We need to stop ending on these notes we be ending on because holy moly.
All right, we're ready for chapter 25.
Alrighty. Chapter 25 begins with Piper and Brendan shopping for cologne that fits Brendan perfectly. When Piper finds the perfect scent, she quickly has the realization that she is in love with this man. As she reminisces on their relationship, how great Brendan is, and how positively she's changed because of him, she decides to tell Brendan she loves him. However, right before her confession, Piper receives a call from her old friend, in quotes, Kirby, who tells her that Piper's disappearance is the pop culture's biggest story and that if she wanted to, Piper has an extravagant in back to the life she left behind. This sends Piper immediately into a panic of pros and cons of whether or not to stay in Westport or go back to LA. She tells Kirby she has to think about it, but decides she can't tell Brendan about this offer just yet. So, a few things. I don't have a ton to say because I feel like the synopsis kind of says it all.
Yep.
But I love the cologne scene because it brings back what we said earlier when they were on the boat. And just like, I love that she finds it and she's just like so like hot and bothered by him, like with the scent. And I love that that's what makes her like fall in love with him. Like after the shopping and the weekend and just like everything. I just thought that was a really sweet moment.
I agree.
For her. And then how nervous she was to tell him, and she's bringing up the courage and like all of like I loved how she like really wanted to admit that to him as soon as she knew it, you know. Her inner dialogue said that if I'm not careful, there are going to be little sea captain babies scampering around. Like okay, so now she's catching on to Brendan because she went to 0 to 100 real quick. I mean, to be fair, I thought this was kind of relatable because women will do that sometimes when they really like a guy. They start imagining. I do that. Yeah. I come up with so many scenarios of like what could be with someone I just like. We all do it, right? Yeah. So I thought it was really cute. It was weird to read, but I was like, relatable.
Yes. No, at first it was a little jarring. Like, I was like, oh, you just found out that you loved this guy and now you're thinking about babies. But then I was like, okay, wait a second. There's like baby fever all the time. So I'm like, okay, never mind. It's pretty relatable.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, I do like that when Kirby calls, Piper doesn't just like revert back to the old Piper, which I think like shows her growth. Like she is a little bit resistant to Kirby. She's like, I'm not going to let you know right now. I'm not going to say yes right away. And I don't like that Kirby was trying to convince her. Like, of course, Kirby's not going to respect her decision. Like, whatever. But it made me sad that her immediate reaction was to hide this from him, which made me really sad, which obviously I'll talk about more in the next chapter. But it made me sad because like that to me was the only revert back to her old self that she kind of showed in that was that she didn't want to tell him. But I also get it. Like, I get why she didn't want to tell him. So
yeah, it's also interesting too because when I first read that like Kirby had called and like there's this like huge thing happening about her reputation. That's all that Piper has wanted ever in her life. To like get this attention, to get like the press, to have people wanting her. So in a way, I was kind of like, oh shit, is this like a really big tipping point for her? Because I feel like that's everything she's ever wanted. But then Brendan came into the picture, you know? So I thought it was an interesting situation. But yeah. No,
I thought it was a big moment for her too, like you said. All right, chapter 26. Chapter 26 begins with Brendan fighting to get inside Piper's head. While trying to get Piper to tell him about the phone call, Piper quickly reverts back to her old self. Brendan cares enough to push her to tell him the truth. However, more than that comes out when Piper confesses that she loves him. Brendan is absolutely ecstatic and returns those words back to her. Then they have sex once again and feel their bond stronger than ever. However, the chapter ends with Brendan feeling nervous about what comes next as he feels their problems looming over what would be a perfect moment. The beginning of this chapter made me sad because Brendan could very much sense something was off and he knew Piper was hiding it. Like it said, he didn't want Piper when her mind was obviously elsewhere. He really showed restraint in that moment because obviously Piper was trying to distract him like with sex and stuff, and he was like, no, like I'm not gonna do that with you when you're not here with me. Like, and I think that was really important. And I do like, sometimes it's annoying when someone pushes you to talk, but in this instance, I like that he was like, dude, you're lying. Like, and he didn't get mad at her once she told him, but she was like, just tell me, like, all I want from you is honesty. That's all I want. Like, and so I really like that. So then she says, I know I love you, Brendan. I know I love you, and that's it. And he's like, how can you say that's it when it's the best thing that's ever happened to me?
This man is so in love with her.
I know.
Like, it's the sweetest thing ever.
I know. And then, of course, they have sex. And one of the quotes, or I don't even want to say that, honestly. I can't.
You have to now.
Fine. He says, Jesus, she'd been ... unlocked. And then more dirty talk comes, and I'm just not, I don't have it quoted, probably because I wanted to throw up. But that's enough for me. He loves dirty talk and telling her what to do. Like at one point, he's like, put your knees on the edge of the bed. And to me, that made me think of Cassie and say, put your hands on the headboard.
Okay, but also though, Cassian didn't do some weird ass dirty talk. Okay,
no,
there's a difference.
There's a huge difference. Yes. Okay, but I did love this quote in the middle of the scene. But he loved her most as she was now, honest, hiding nothing. Like that, I really, really loved.
Yeah.
But okay, tell me this. Why was there a mirror on the ceiling?
Yeah, that was weird as hell.
That was so unnecessary.
In a hotel room? No. That, like, you're telling me that every single room in that hotel has a mirror like that. What? No.
I really, really hated that. I can't tell you how much.
Again, I think it was just like, I think Tessa Bailey needed an excuse for a mirror to be there. And so she's like, let's just put it in the hotel room. Yeah.
And then I love when she described love as like it feeling like putting a bandage on, wrapping it right. Like I just thought that was a really sweet way to describe what love is. And I do like at the end of all this, Piper can admit, she's like, you know what? I shouldn't have held back. And it's like hard to be vulnerable, but I want to do that for you. So I'm going to do better about that moving forward. So I like that resolve at the end of the chapter, but that's pretty much the end of chapter 26.
Okay, on to chapter 27.
Whoop, whoop.
On their drive back from Seattle, Piper finds herself excited to head back to Westport, and she starts to question if she truly belongs there. Then, Hannah proposes she stays in Brendan's guest bedroom so that Piper can stay with him guilt-free. The next couple of days go smoothly in their new routine, and Piper and Hannah finally come up with a name for their bar. The chapter ends with Piper deciding that she's going to stay in Westport. So this chapter was like really, really happy. Like everything was going in the right direction, and I actually really liked it.
Me too.
I do want to point out that the whole moving in thing was so quick, and it's so weird that Hannah was like, Brendan, do you have a guest bedroom? This is the plan. I'm going to stay there so that Piper can stay with you. Like, it was so weird.
It was like, as weird as giving her a key.
Yeah.
And of course, Brendan didn't care because he's like, I want her now.
Yeah. Like, it just, I don't know. I feel like Tessa Bailey needed these excuses to happen. Literally. And so she's like, you know what? I'm going to have Hannah say this and this and da da da. And I was just like, it's weird, okay? It's weird.
100%.
I will say, though, when they go to his house at night, I love that, like, Brendan was in, like, sweatpants and a t-shirt. Like, literally the plainest clothes ever, but it's like the hottest thing.
Yes. Oh my God. It's just like guys in like gray joggers. Something about that does something to me. Like, sometimes the simple outfits, if they are right, they're so right.
Yes. Like, damn, you looking fine.
Yeah, you are, Brendan. Jeez.
Okay, we also need to talk about the record player that Brendan gave Hannah. I like teared up.
I know.
I was like, that is the sweetest thing ever. Like, he did not have to do that. And he, like, went into the basement and found his parents' like old record player just for Hannah. And I was like, that like made me love him even more.
I know. Because he's not just caring about Piper. He knows how important Hannah is to her. So he wants to take care of Hannah too.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. On page 329. I thought it was weird that the sisters were like mouthing to each other like, oh, you have to marry him now. And Piper is like, I know, what the fuck. Again, that's like way too fast for me. And I know it's like supposed to come off as like fun and lighthearted and stuff, but I thought it was just a little too jarring for me.
I think so too.
Yeah. Like,
it was
even
lot.
Even if the sisters were joking, I'm like, that's weird.
Y'all better relax.
Really. Also really random, loved the name of the bar. Cross and Daughters.
Yeah, I like it too. It was
adorable.
So perfect.
I know. It was great. And then the last thing I will say about chapter 27 is that I was surprised to see Piper make her decision to stay in Westport so fast. But at this point, it was believable to me, I think. Like, I was okay with her. I was okay with her, like, progression of her character arc. Like, that makes sense. And I liked that when she came to the decision to stay in Westport eventually, it, like, made sense. In my opinion, the book could have ended there, but it didn't. And so, yeah, I'll get to that later.
I actually totally agree because the whole next chunk, I'll talk about it as well. But I'm just like, that doesn't make sense.
Nope, you're right. And we'll jump into 28 now.
Alrighty.
Piper and Brendan fight about Piper's safety nets that she's been placing during her stay in Westport to assure the possibility of going back to LA if she wanted to. Brendan is beyond pissed and gives Piper an ultimatum. Meet him at the docks to see him off for his fishing trip tomorrow or their relationship is done. This chapter broke the entire novel for me. I was going to give it 5 stars until this chapter, and then I bumped it down to 4 stars because of how much I hated this fucking chapter.
No, honestly, though, it made no sense.
No sense.
Because Brendan the whole time was like, I want to give her the space. Like, this is enough for me right now. And we were all behind him with that. We're like, yes, Brendan, yes. And then all of a sudden, she's been completely honest with him about her plan to leave the entire time. From the first time they went on the date. So why are you pissed about it all of a sudden?
Exactly. It's literally doesn't make any sense.
Brendan, you're so freaking dumb.
I know. I was so pissed. So freaking pissed. And I have a couple of points too that I want to go over.
Great, let's hear them.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, Daniel can still come to the bar opening without Piper and Hannah trying to show him something. Like,
literally,
they're capable of doing something great. You know, he's a father figure to them, even if he's shitty. He can come to the grand opening if he wanted to, so Piper and Hannah can show them without strings attached.
Literally,
you know?
What about just support?
Exactly. Second, these safety nets, of course Piper has them. It's a scary situation that she's in Westport. And if she doesn't want to stay there, she doesn't have to. She's just protecting herself. She didn't know that she would meet Brendan and fall in love and yada, yada, yada. Like, oh my gosh. And then third, Piper is giving up so much to stay in Westport. And Brendan is only giving up his idea of like routines and schedules. Like, bull fucking shit, dude. Bull fucking shit.
Big deal.
Exactly. The fact that he even acknowledges that she's giving up so much, but then has the audacity to argue back and say, well, if you weren't going to stay, why did you string me along like this? Why did you lead me along? Dude, you're the one who strung yourself along.
The only thing you've done is eaten a friggin' pot pie. She's moving her life across the country. So how about you literally take a friggin' chill pill, you friggin' idiot. It made me so mad.
Exactly. Also, let's not forget that he's the Mr. I'm going to fuck the word friend right out of your mouth.
Yeah, literally. What are you talking about? Plus,
exactly.
you didn't even know she had already decided to stay.
Exactly. I was like, I don't know where the hell your mind has been, but it has not been straight. And then this, like, it goes back to his whole idea of, like, needing schedules and routines and orders. Like, to be honest, he was fine the entire novel, which you had just mentioned too. But suddenly, before this fishing trip, he's like, I need to know, and blah, 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 blah. Like, no, it felt so out of character for Brendan. Yes. And his need to, like, plan right now before he leaves for the fishing trip. It was just so weird and out of the blue, very out of character for him. And it just, like, ruined the entire book for me.
Yeah, it literally made no sense.
Yeah, it really didn't. His like character development was just thrown out the window. Okay, top of page 342. In the last chapter, we learned that Piper was going to stay. If Brendan wasn't being such a man baby, Piper would have fucking told him right there and then that she was staying. End of fight. But no. He had to go and be dramatic. So annoying. If you just listened, Brendan. If you just shut up and listened.
Literally.
One thing I have to say about this is that the worst thing about this whole fight, this whole situation, is that Brendan was the only one who had faith in Piper's skills, character, and motives. And then he threw it out of the window and made Piper fall back on her biggest fear, that she's not capable of anything. And that's what I like hated the most, is that like he was the only person who had faith in her, and now he doesn't. All that character development was just like reverted back for no reason.
Literally, it just, again, like we've said 5 times, it makes no sense.
Okay, that's it.
Oh, great. All right, let's move on. Okay, chapter 29. Chapter 29 begins with Piper waking up feeling pissed but determined with the Brendan situation. She goes through her Westport routine when Abe has an accident that she must stay to help with. Unfortunately, this means saying goodbye to Brendan and telling him she wants to stay. She tries calling him with no luck. Piper then breaks down only to be comforted by the other fishermen's wives. Then it's opening night of No Name and things don't go as planned. Daniel cancels his visit and nobody shows up. Mick stops... Mick.
Fucking Mick.
Freaking Mick just ruins everything. Oh my God. If I had to deal with Mick, that would be my villain origin story. Like, I can't. Like, I cannot with him. Oh Mick stops by and... I just thought of a title for the episode. Anyways, Mick stops by and makes Piper feel more insecure than she has felt since coming to Westport. She feels like she doesn't belong. The chapter ends with Piper deciding whether or not to go to LA. With a push from Hannah, Piper decides to leave as she feels she has missed her chance to make Westport home. So I think, okay, here's the thing. After the last chapter, I was like so done with Brendan. Like I was like, I'm so done with this.
Yeah.
I do love Hannah and Piper's relationship because I think Hannah helped bring Piper back down to earth a little bit. And she's like, you're not the only one who's allowed to be irrational. Yeah. I know how you can be. So I like that because then it made Piper motivated to like still go through it, go talk to him, like put it aside. Yeah. But I still don't think Brendan should have done that in the first place. And nor do I think Piper deserves or has to make excuses for him to act like that.
No, she is... You know what I found out by the end of this novel? That Piper is too good for Brendan.
Yes, literally.
Brendan does not deserve Piper. Like, oh my gosh, ridiculous.
Oh my God. Okay, I get she had to wait with Abe, but like, Abe, this is really inconvenient for this relationship. And I was so annoyed that Brendan didn't pick up his phone. Like, he hadn't left yet. So why aren't you on, like... Ugh, I was so done with it.
The thing is that like I was mad but sad all at the same time. Like very conflicting feelings because knowing Piper, she she really wants to help and make sure that Abe is okay.
Of
And like,
course.
that's just like the kind of heart that she has. But I'm fucking pissed because it had to happen this morning.
Okay, Abe, fall tomorrow. God. Shoo. Okay. Oh, and it broke my heart when she gets to the dock and they're gone and she just breaks down. I will say, I thought it was really cool that the people who comforted her wasn't Hannah, wasn't Opal, wasn't anything. It was like the other fishermen's wives. Because in that sense, I was like, okay, to me, it almost symbolized what her role was going to be like moving forward, right? Like she kind of feels like a part of the clan that is like the fishermen's wives, you know? So I like
one thing I would do want to say is that when Piper got to the docks or like the harbor and she saw the ship going, I was like, this situation is the whole Friends. She got off the plane. He got off the boat. Brendan got off the boat. He got off the boat. Like, Fox is driving it because we've gotten hints that Fox is like, he's going to give Fox over. the Della Ray. And I was like, oh my God, Brendan got off. And then he fucking did it. And I was like, nope, you're trash still.
Okay, literally though, Brendan was like, why would they do that? I loved Brendan.
Yeah. Like, he just went down the toilet for me.
Yep. Okay, also, again, I know we've said this a few times about this, like, book. There are certain moments where I just find really hard to believe. Like, she's repeating to herself, have faith, have faith, have faith. Yeah. But I have a hard time believing that this one argument and him leaving for a few days on a trip is gonna be this huge thing that she's imagining it to be. Like, you can wait. If you're really that in love with him, you can wait a few days, tell him what happens, and he would have been fine with it. Like, you would have been able to talk about it. Like, this wasn't, to me, an end-all, be-all situation, but it was written to be that way. Yes. And I just didn't buy it.
Yes. I think the way that Tessa Bailey wrote it was like an end-all, be-all, like, you take it or you'll leave it.
Exactly.
Which I hated because it doesn't have to be that way. Like, no. Especially, it could have literally been the same situation with the whole Kirby thing and the phone call back at the hotel in Seattle. Like, it could have just been like, hey, let's just talk about it. Except no, Brendan had to be a man baby and be like, your safety nets and blah, blah, blah. Like, so dumb. And the thing is too is that like Piper would have been able to, you know, wait 2 days and talk about it. But the way that Brendan reacted, I don't blame her for getting anxious about it because he was a dick.
Yep.
Yeah. So mean. So freaking mean. Like, unnecessarily so.
Yep, 100%. And then to go along with the whole force thing, in quotes, from having that steady, dependable present ripped away when she needed it most. Like, this was said at the bar when no one was showing up, which really, really broke my heart when no one showed up. I actually believe that no one showed up.
Yep, I agree. It broke my heart, and I was like, is Westport really shitty? Like, oh my gosh. Do they really hate these girls? Like, I was like, I don't think so. But
I know.
It left a really bad taste in my mouth. And be like, when the girls needed you the most, none of you showed up.
I know.
Like, that says a lot.
I know. That made me really, again, these last couple chapters just ruin everything that I've like grown to love about it. And I was like, oh, and then I was looking at how many pages I had left and I'm like, how are you going to redeem this in a short amount of time?
Exactly.
Okay. Then guess who shows up at the bar? Mick.
Fucking Mick.
Oh my God. Okay. So he says, not a lot of interest in flashy changes around here, looks like.
Sir, get out. Get out.
The nerve.
Yes.
Who do you think you are? I hate him.
No,
I hate
me
him.
too.
And I really think that was the nail in Piper's coffin that she was like, you know what? I don't belong here. People don't like me. People don't want me here. I might as well just go.
Exactly.
And when Hannah said your Piper sparkle is gone, I thought that was really cheesy, but it was also really, really sad. Yeah. And I thought it was a bit weird that Hannah this morning was like, go, like, go fight for him. Like, you're not the only one who's allowed to be irrational. And then she's like, well, maybe you should go home. Like, that to me, I didn't understand. So I don't know if you have thoughts on that, but
No, I agree. I feel like the end of this book, like the third of this book, is so wonky. Like, these characters are not the same characters that I read about, which is so weird because I feel like Hannah was like a really big advocate for like making Piper happy, and she saw that like Piper was very, very happy here in Westport, and so it's weird to be like, oh, just go home, Piper, like just go home. Like it
Literally.
was, I don't know, in a way, is it like maybe Hannah protecting her and being like, you clearly aren't happy here, just go home then? Like what other better stuff can I do knowing that Brendan ruined it all, you know? Like I just, maybe she was at her like end's rope and she's just like, I don't know what to do anymore.
I know.
But I do agree, overall, it felt really weird.
No, it did.
Yeah.
I, like, again, like, what you said makes sense. Like, maybe she was at the end of her rope, like, all these things. But I just cannot buy into it.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much the end of chapter 29. Chapter 30 is Brendan's perspective on Piper not showing up to the dock. Brendan is heartbroken, but after having time to think and finding a note Piper gave to him, he realizes what he did wrong and that he should have had faith in Piper. Really? Especially after all he asked of her. Really? Back on shore after a delay on the water, Brendan discovers that Piper tried to tell him she was coming, and at the bar, people tell him how wonderful Piper is and why she got delayed. This is all the motivation Brendan needs to go after Piper in LA.
Fuck you, Brendan.
Literally.
Fuck you.
Like, this made him seem like such an ass.
Really? Like, if he, like, he wasn't an ass before, like he was like just like a little bit, but then after this chapter, a complete asshole. I was like, no, you don't deserve Piper.
No, literally, you don't deserve her. And at the beginning of this chapter, he's like pitying himself. He says in quotes, he'd known it was too good to be real. Like, if you had just picked up your freaking phone, dude,
or listened to her during your argument.
Literally. Oh my God.
And you know what? When he found that photo in his little pocket, whatever, I was like, you don't deserve that either. You are shitty. You do not deserve that.
Literally. Not at all. And again, I think that picture on the other side of it just shows how great Piper is and how caring and sweet and like thoughtful.
It really
I'm on
made
Piper's side.
It really made me sad that like he treated her that way when all she wanted was just like honesty and just understanding.
Yes, literally. And then in this quotes, Brendan, as he's like processing all of this, remembers when Piper said, "Please don't doubt me, Brendan, not you. Have faith in me." And that's exactly what he did. He needs to grovel. He needs to earn her.
Exactly. That's what I was saying back in whatever the chapter that they fought, that like he's the one person who believed in her, who had faith. And the second that argument started, he threw that out the window.
So then, of course, he gets off the dock. He gets all these texts. He shows up to the bar, seeing how busy it is. Fox goes to help Hannah, which I love.
Yeah.
And I love that the bar succeeded after all. And it made me so sad that Piper didn't get to see that.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really cool. But then Hannah crying for her sister made me want to cry.
Yeah.
And she was like talking about her Piper sparkle. And then everyone's talking to Brendan about how great she is. And then, of course, that's enough to make him determined to go get her. But at that point, I was so brought out of it.
Yeah, same.
I was like,
I was so done.
I almost wasn't even rooting for them anymore.
Yep.
And like looking at the fact that there was like, 2 chapters after this to wrap it up, I was like, there's no way that you're going to be able to do enough in this amount of time to make me root for this anymore.
Yeah.
And then, sorry.
I was just going to say, I was pissed that all of a sudden Brendan walks in and the bar is full and he's talking to people and everyone's saying, oh, how wonderful, Piper is and what happened this morning and blah, 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 blah. Like, he needed other people to tell him how great Piper was for him to realize it. Why couldn't you just listen to her that morning or that night of the fight and just realize it yourself? Like, the fact that like other people had to tell you literally pisses me off. And the fact
me too.
That Hannah was like, yeah, Westport, you guys should show up on time, like next time or whatever. I was pissed about that too.
I know, literally.
Yeah.
God, it's like, again, I thought he was being so mature before, and now he's like so immature. Like, what are you doing? And then, of course, Mick wants Brendan to apologize to him. And like, or no. Oh, sorry, I said that wrong.
It doesn't matter, though, because Mick wants something.
Mick still sucks. Mick still wants something, and he doesn't deserve anything. No, but he wants Brendan to apologize to Piper for him. No, you go do it yourself, Mick.
You suck, Mick. I hate you. I literally hate you.
God.
Oh, my God.
That's the end of the chapter.
Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. I actually have 2 audio thingies that I recorded.
Oh my God! I love this.
About chapter 30 and like all my angst. Okay,
great.
This is page 364, which I think is chapter 30. Okay, let's try this.
I'm on page 364, and this like little scene just ended with, quote, "I'm sorry I failed you, baby. Just give me one more chance," end quote. I'm so fucking done with him. I am so done with him. I could kick him to the outer rim of the goddamn fucking Milky Way right now. That's how much I'm so fucking annoyed with him. He's so annoying. Oh my God. Okay, whatever.
To be honest, I forgot I said that. Okay, there's another one.
Can I just say one thing? I thought you were gonna stop with, I want to kick him out of the goddamn Milky Way. You're so funny, dude.
Okay, wait, and there's another one. I don't know what I said in this one.
Sorry, I have another fucking thought on page 364. He finally just got Piper's text message from the harbor because he finally got, like, self-reception. I am determined that this man does not deserve Piper. She has literally given him everything. And suddenly, he's like, oh, nope. She needs a fucking answer or I'm gonna lose my shit because she has safety net. It's like, he just does not deserve Piper and her energy and her optimism. Like, I am just so done with him. So done. Oh my God, he's so annoying. So annoying. And Piper is just like the kindest, sweetest person ever. Whatever. I am done.
Can you tell I'm done?
I'm literally crying. It's funny because when you said the first I'm done, you thought the voice memo was done, but then you just
Oh my gosh.
Oh God, you're so funny, Selena. Oh my God, that was amazing. Thank you for taking those. Oh
I know.
Gosh.
Okay. Okay, going on to the last 2 chapters of this goddamn book. Okay, starting with chapter 31. So Piper is at the party in LA, and everyone is excited to see her for her grand return. But Piper realizes all she wants is to go home, back to Westport. Before she can hop off the extravagant unicorn she's riding, she's being pushed to the top of the stage. Then, in the crowd, she sees Brendan there, and she reunites with him. They reconcile, say I love you, and then go off and live there happily ever after.
Please sound excited.
Oh my
Selena.
God. Okay, I have another another audio thing. This one is page 375. I think this is.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I think this is chapter 31. Okay.
Okay, page 375. We all knew that he would be there, at the party and stuff, but like him being at the party just like makes me feel all the feels. You know what, too? He probably looks so fucking hot. He probably looks so hot in the crowd. And he doesn't even have to be, like, dressed in a suit or whatever. He could be in his, like, regular, flannel, his beanie, and still look smoking hot, okay? Still don't like him. Still very fucking pissed. But I can't deny that he's, like, good looking, okay?
Okay, honestly though,
Really?
I mean, you right, girl. You right.
I mean, even though I'm still like beyond pissed at him, I can't deny that he's like looking so good, looking so fine.
know, literally.
So to start off, I thought it was weird that Piper went to LA in the first place, which I think we talked about a little bit back a couple chapters ago when Hannah was trying to convince Piper to go back to LA. Super weird that she went. And then
Yes.
she was like, oh, just kidding. I actually hate this. Like, I don't know. In the previous chapter, she was so dead set on going to LA. And again, I'm feeling like all of this character development was thrown out the window. So I couldn't get on board with all of her like revelations and stuff. Like, it just didn't feel believable to me.
No, it didn't at all.
Yeah.
It really did. Like, again, this chapter, like, I like the reunion. Like, at the end of the day, I'm glad they're back together, but I just wasn't excited about it.
I was not excited about it. So I am not for violence, but I love that Brendan punched her ex Adrian in the face.
So did I.
It's
like,
what he
screw
deserved.
You, Adrian.
I know. Like, again, I still hate Brendan, but I hate Adrian more. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Like, Brendan can be forgiven. Adrian can just... I don't want to see him again.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought the whole ending felt like very rushed. And I also thought it was weird that they were like talking in like the lobby of an ATM bank thing. Like, just go to the hotel. What the hell are you guys doing?
No, literally. Again, what I think would have made more sense for the end of the book is like after, what were you saying? Oh, when they moved into like Brendan's house.
Yeah.
Maybe she could have had some back and forth. She still could have like gotten in her head about Kirby's call or whatever, but then they could have resolved it. Maybe they go back to LA together to wrap things up. I don't know, something like that. But then this, and then again, like you said, it felt rushed, but we didn't need all of those chapters in between.
Exactly.
Like, it just could have been done so differently.
Yeah. I think in a sense, Tessa Bailey wanted a conflict. She wanted some sort of like climax, and like I understand that argument was the problem, was the climax of the novel, but the fact that it didn't make sense just like ruins the whole book. Like,
I agree.
To be honest, you could have just had it as like a happily ever after. I would have been fine if the fight never happened. They had a great successful bar opening, and then Piper told him that she was gonna stay, you know, like, and then happily ever after. That's it. And then Brendan apologizes for being shitty, which in my case, I thought that Piper should have given him more shit for it because of all the accusations that he told her. But Piper was like, oh no, I love you too. I love you too. I was like, no, Piper, you should have chewed him out because he was so rude to you.
No, literally. And I think I mentioned this last episode. I really appreciated how they could just like apologize to each other and like move on and stuff. In this instance, I did not like that at all.
Me neither.
It felt like everything just got swept under the rug.
Yes, exactly. And then he goes on to be like, I'll change my life for you. I'll like get to a port closer to LA, blah, 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 blah. And Piper was like, oh, you do that for me? And I was like, yeah, he better fucking do it.
Literally, because
after all that he has done, he better do everything for you.
Literally.
Like, the audacity of this man. Ugh. Okay, page 380. It did make me really sad that Piper was like, oh, I'll be stronger next time and I can do better. Like, no, honey, you're perfect the way that you are.
Brendan, you have nothing to apologize for.
Exactly. Brendan and every fucking person in Westport made you feel that way, and they should be apologizing to you for that. Another reason why I was like, Westport and Brendan, they don't deserve Piper. Like, she is way too good. And honestly, she should have just like left Westport in spite, and Brendan, because I was like, you guys are trash. Trash. And then the chapter ends with them saying, I love you. And overall, I was just like, eh.
Yeah. Like, I was like, okay.
Yeah. So moving on to the epilogue, which was like really, really short, probably like 3-ish pages. So it's a week later and Hannah is returning back to LA. Piper and Brendan have been living together since returning from LA. Before Hannah leaves, she gets a gift from Fox, and Piper waits on the docks for Brendan to return from his fishing trip. So the epilogue felt more like an open chapter for Hannah and Fox rather than a closing chapter for Piper and Brendan. I don't like comparing, but I'm going to do it anyways. For example, in The Love Hypothesis, the epilogue was a happily ever after for Adam and Olive. In Beach Read, it's a happily ever after for Gus and January. But I don't know. Piper and Brendan's happily ever after was already so rushed, and so to focus on Hannah and Fox in this one, I just didn't really love it because I felt like I needed more closure for Brendan and Piper.
Agreed, especially after the tumultuous whatever last like third of the book, I was like,
Yeah.
I needed an epilogue that was like the size of a normal chapter.
Yep.
To like really make us believe that this relationship was worth it again.
Exactly.
But it wasn't that at all.
No, it
And
wasn't.
I do like the lead up to Hannah and Fox's story.
Yep.
I do like that, but that could have been at the end of the epilogue.
Yes.
On top of a little more.
Exactly, yeah. Also, oh my God, again, the fact that they like rushed over how Piper just like packed up and left LA and that her mom and
I
Daniel
know.
were like fine with it. Like they just stopped at the house when they were there for the party and they're back to Westport. Like I wish, I said this before, I wish we got more from her mom and the history of what
Yes.
had happened. I
Yes.
think it was just too convenient for them to rush out of LA and just be like, I'm staying in Westport now. Like,
Again,
what?
the development, the background, the meat of the story just
Yeah.
like did not come through.
No. I felt that Piper would have had more sentimental feelings to LA. Even if she was excited to live in Westport and go with Brendan, she grew up in LA. LA was all that she knew. So the fact that they like just brushed over it, there was like no sentimental feelings. I was just like, that's kind of weird. And it didn't feel realistic to me. I just want to say I called that Fox got her that Fleetwood Mac vinyl. I called it.
So did I.
I was like,
I knew it.
Fox, you are so in love with this girl.
Literally.
I just knew it. On page 385, it says that Piper is learning to love herself just as she was, which, oh my God, it's weird because this was like a very, very small paragraph that she got to reflect on herself and Brendan's relationship because most of it was about Hannah and Fox. And it's weird that she said that because honestly, I thought she was really getting to love herself on her journey, spending time in Westport, but Brendan and the whole effing town of Westport doubted her, which made her revert back to square one.
Literally.
Because, like, I thought, to be honest, I thought she had already loved herself and she was, like, fitting in and stuff. But it's just, like, all of these other factors made her go back. And I was like...
Exactly. Again, the last third of the book
Yeah.
made it seem like for me, loving herself shouldn't have been Piper's takeaway.
Exactly. I don't know. It just, like, didn't end the way that I thought it was. But that's the end of the epilogue. Overall, like, I thought it was a fun book. And it was great until the third of it. Like, I'm just going to ignore that part and just like act like it never happened.
No, literally though. And I remember telling you this when we first talked about the book. I was like, it's a really easy read. Like, it's really fun. It's not as like meaty as like The Love Hypothesis, Beach Read, whatever. It's still a fun read, which is why I'm trying not to like take it as seriously. But yeah, the last part of the book just pissed me off.
It just didn't make sense. And it could have been meaty. Like, it wasn't as meaty as Beach Read or Book Lovers, but like there was like some substantial like meat there with like Piper learning to love herself and Brendan coming out of his like routines and his like past.
And the parents.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of that was skimmed over. So what you gonna do? Well, that's the end of it.
Yeah.
As you guys know that we like to do with our books, we like to do a fan cast as well.
Yeah.
I was telling Selena earlier, or I think maybe I said it at the beginning of the last episode, maybe, I don't know. My fan cast stinks. So let's maybe go with yours first.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, no, totally. So I'll start off with Piper. To be honest, I couldn't find anyone for Piper other than Annie Murphy.
Yeah.
Which is hard because it's like I want to see if I can find someone else. But like Tessa Bailey like based this book off so much of like Annie Murphy and Alexis from Schitt's Creek that it's like I can see it at this point, you know?
No, 100%.
Yeah.
So I have a few options for Piper.
Okay.
But there is one that I really like.
Okay.
So the main one that I like is Rose Williams. You might not know who she is. She was Princess Claude on Reign. She is like really pretty. She can play like the brat well, but like with a really good heart. So the way she plays Claude in Reign, I could really see her being a good Piper. If like she had like the blonde hair and stuff. A couple other people I wrote down. My second pick would have been Sarah Paxton. Miss Aquamarine.
Yes.
Like, can't you just...
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that was like my second pick. I don't like the other two, so I'm not going to say them.
Okay.
But
moving on to what used to be the love of my life until the third half of the book, Brendan. Okay. You have to bear with me. So I was thinking either a gruff Tom Hardy.
Okay.
Or a gruff Kit Harington.
Interesting. Okay. So I actually read Tessa Bailey thought of Tom. Did you see that too?
I read that interview.
I think Tom Hardy's too old. But
I don't think so because Piper's supposed to be 28 and then Brendan's just a little older.
Maybe I just don't think Tom Hardy's attractive, but that might just be me. But yeah, I don't mind the idea of a gruff Kit Harington.
Yeah, like with his hair and his like beard as well, like just kind of a little gruffier and like not as cleaned up as we've seen him, but
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I could vibe with that.
Okay.
Okay, so here's a few people. You're going to laugh at me.
Don't tell me it's Henry Cavill.
No, it's not. It's not. I promise. So I have a couple people. The first one was Logan Lerman, but I think he's way too young.
Okay.
Or like young looking.
Okay.
So that wouldn't work.
Okay.
My next two, again, I had a really hard time with this and I'm not confident. The top two tied would be Scott Eastwood and Theo James. Theo James with the long hair in the beard in Time Travels.
No, I like Scott better.
Okay, Scott Eastwood.
Because I feel like Brendan is like more broad, and I feel like Theo James is a little too lean.
Sure.
Like like Brendan needs to be like bulky. Do you know what I mean?
Scott Eastwood is bulky.
Yeah, he is.
Have you seen The Longest Ride?
No, I haven't.
You need to watch it.
Okay.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm adding it to our list.
Okay,
Hold on.
good.
Who are your other fan casts?
Okay, so for Hannah, I have Lily Reinhart or Josephine Langford.
Okay. I have Josephine Langford as well as one of my options.
Yeah.
I had Sydney Sweeney as a potential option.
Oh, I actually don't hate that.
But I think my favorite option for Hannah is Olivia Holt.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay, maybe.
She doesn't love that one as much, folks,
Yeah, no.
but it's still an option.
Yeah.
Option.
Okay,
so who do you have for Fox? I had a hard time with this.
Okay, for Fox, I had Aaron Taylor Johnson.
I had him down too.
I think he could, just a little gruffy. Like, he still looks young too, because Fox is a little younger than Brendan. But then I had a gruff Logan Lerman.
Interesting.
Because he looks like really young, and I feel like he can play like kind of like the funny guy, you know, who's just like, you know.
I see. I don't see Fox as gruff.
Really?
I think he's a little more like a fuck boy.
Oh, okay. Well, see, the thing is that you've read the sequel, so it's like
fair.
I don't like have this idea of Fox, but no, good. I think it's just the fact that like he's a part of Brendan's crew, so I like kind of thought that he was a little gruffy.
Okay, so the other two people that I had for Fox, I had Aaron Taylor Johnson. One of them was Alex Pettyfer. Do you know him?
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, but he does look like a fuckboy though.
So there you go. And then the other guy I had, which I don't love it because I think his hair is too dark, but Matthew Daddario.
Oh God, Matthew is so gorgeous.
I know.
He is gorgeous. I could see him. I could see him be Fox. I think I just need a little more gruffiness, but he does look like a fuckboy too.
Well, there you go. But yeah, that's my fan cast.
Wow, very nice.
All right, everybody. Well, that is the conclusion of our It Happened One Summer saga.
Yeah.
It was up and down. And in conclusion, we hate Mick. Anyways, our next episode, we're actually going to be together in Minnesota, which is really exciting always to be able to record in the same space.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing that. But we don't know exactly what we want to do for our topic yet because we have to take advantage of being in the same room.
Yeah.
So it'll be a surprise. Get ready for the
Definitely.
surprise, y'all.
Yeah.
I love it.
Tune in, listen, because it's going to be a good one, okay?
All right. Well, we will see you guys next week.
Bye.